Here are 7 traits only INTJs have. Number 1. Quiet strategic genius. INTJs are like chess masters in a world of checkers players. They don't need to announce every move they're planning, and most people have no idea a game is even being played. That's because INTJs are quiet strategic geniuses. They're constantly thinking several steps ahead, analyzing potential outcomes and adjusting their plans in real time, all while appearing calm, collected, and maybe even a little aloof. You might see an INTJ sitting quietly in a meeting or social setting, looking like they're just observing or zoning out. Meanwhile, their mind is mapping out contingencies, weighing pros and cons, and predicting how every interaction might play out. By the time they speak or act, it often seems like they magically knew the best solution all along because, well, they did. The genius part, they rarely need to flaunt it. INTJs let the results speak for themselves. They don't feel the need for applause, validation, or recognition. They just quietly execute, knowing that when things fall into place, everyone else will be scratching their heads wondering, how did they figure that out? It's like they're playing 3D chess while everyone else is playing checkers, and you only notice their brilliance after the game is already won. That's the signature INTJ move: calm, collected, and devastatingly effective. If you're willing to delve even deeper into your personality type, we're excited to announce the release of our insightful books. In the first one, you can explore the nuanced dynamics of INTJ relationships and uncover strategies to foster deeper connections based on understanding and compatibility. In the second, you can gain clarity on navigating the intricate terrain of career choices with a guide tailored specifically for INTJs, offering actionable advice to leverage their unique strengths effectively and finally choose the best career path. As a special offer for our subscribers, we have a promo code available for your purchase. Link is in the description below. Number 2. Relentless curiosity. INTJs are like walking research engines. Once something piques their interest, they dive in headfirst, analyzing every detail, connecting dots, and often discovering things no one else even thought to ask. Their curiosity isn't casual, it's relentless, systematic, and sometimes a little intimidating. You might ask an INTJ a simple question like, how does this work? And suddenly they're giving you a 10-minute deep dive into the mechanics, history, and hidden patterns behind it, complete with comparisons, hypothetical scenarios, and maybe a chart or two in their head. They don't do it to show off, they do it because their brain needs to understand how the world works. This curiosity extends to people too. INTJs want to understand motivations, strategies, and thought processes. They constantly analyze behavior, not to judge, but to predict and anticipate. That's why they often seem like they know things they shouldn't, because their curiosity drives them to uncover layers that most people never even notice. The genius of an INTJ is that their curiosity is paired with strategy. They don't just collect random knowledge, they organize it, evaluate it, and store it for the perfect moment. So the next time you think, wow, how do they know that? Remember, INTJs are just quietly mapping the world in ways most of us can't even imagine. Number 3. Selective social energy. INTJs don't just socialize for fun, they choose their interactions carefully. Small talk, meaningless chit-chat, and draining social obligations? Hard pass. Their energy is finite, and they're not about to waste it on things that don't matter. This doesn't mean they're unfriendly or aloof, far from it. When an INTJ invests their time and attention, it's deliberate. They prefer meaningful conversations, strategic networking, or deep discussions with people who genuinely challenge their mind. Basically, they don't do casual, they do impactful. So, if an INTJ seems quiet in a crowd, don't assume they're bored or shy. They're just conserving energy for interactions that actually matter. And when they do engage, expect focused, insightful, and often game-changing contributions. The funny part, most people mistake their selectivity for arrogance, but it's really just efficient energy management. INTJs operate like a mental power grid. They distribute their attention where it counts and leave the rest of the world on standby. Number 4. Unshakable confidence in their knowledge. INTJs have a quiet, unshakable confidence when it comes to their knowledge. They spend hours, sometimes years, analyzing, testing, and refining their understanding of the world. So, when they speak, it's not guesswork. They know what they're talking about. And that certainty radiates, even if they're saying it calmly or casually. This confidence isn't arrogance, it's earned. INTJs don't just claim things, they've mapped out the logic, examined evidence, and considered alternative viewpoints. And while they're open to new information, it has to pass the rigorous standards of their mind before it changes what they believe. Here's the tricky part for others. INTJs often deliver their insights in a matter-of-fact way, without fanfare, which can make people either underestimate them or feel a little intimidated. You might think, maybe they're just guessing. One's carefully placed statement can completely flip your perspective because their confidence comes from real understanding. It's like watching someone play 4D chess, calm, composed, and absolutely certain of their moves, while the rest of us are still figuring out how the board works. That's the unshakable knowledge vibe of an INTJ, quiet, precise, and undeniably effective. Number 5, high standards for self and others. INTJs don't just set the bar high, they launch it into orbit. Their standards for themselves and everyone else are sky high because they believe things should be done efficiently, intelligently, and with purpose. Half measures and sloppy execution? Nope, not in their world. They hold themselves to ridiculous levels of precision, whether it's how they plan a project, structure an argument, or even send an email. And because they expect excellence from themselves, they subconsciously expect it from others too. It's not about being controlling, it's about wanting the world to make sense. To an INTJ, competence isn't optional, it's a moral value. They can't stand inefficiency, unnecessary drama, or people who talk big but can't back it up. So, if they seem critical, it's usually because they see potential and wonder why others aren't using it. The irony, their own perfectionism drives them harder than anyone else could. Even when they succeed, they're already dissecting what could have been better. It's exhausting, but effective. The reason INTJs tend to rise quietly to the top while everyone else is still debating what to do. So, if you impress an INTJ, know this: you've passed an internal test that most people don't even realize they were taking. Number 6, emotional, reserved, but deeply loyal. INTJs aren't the type to wear their hearts on their sleeves. In fact, you might not even be sure they have sleeves. They keep their emotions neatly filed away behind logic, control, and a perfectly neutral expression. But don't mistake that calm exterior for coldness. Under that quiet, analytical surface is a loyalty that runs deep. Here's the secret: INTJs don't open up easily. They test people, not in a manipulative way, but through quiet observation. They want to see consistency, authenticity, and integrity before they let anyone pass their emotional firewall. But once you earn their trust, you're basically unlocking the rare loot: unconditional loyalty, fierce protection, and a partner or friend who will stand by you even when the world falls apart. They won't always say "I care about you," but they'll show it in subtle, strategic ways. They'll help you solve problems, remember small details you didn't think mattered, or quietly do things that make your life easier. It's not about grand gestures, it's about thoughtful precision. But here's the twist: betray that trust once and it's over. INTJs don't do drama or second chances when it comes to broken loyalty. They simply detach, walk away, and never look back. Not out of spite, but because emotional chaos violates their internal order. Number 7, ability to detach from chaos. If the world were on fire, the INTJ would be the one calmly sipping coffee, quietly calculating the most efficient way to put it out, or honestly, whether it's even worth saving in the first place. While everyone else is panicking, crying, or running in circles, the INTJ's brain switches into analytical overdrive. They don't freak out, they zoom out. This is the INTJ superpower: emotional detachment in the middle of chaos. It's not that they don't feel things, they just instinctively compartmentalize emotion to deal with reality first. Their brain goes, okay, feelings later, logic now. They'll analyze the mess, isolate the root problem, and create a plan before most people even have processed that something went wrong. To outsiders, this can look cold or robotic, but to the INTJ, it's just practical. They know someone has to stay calm, and they'd rather be useful than hysterical. Once the dust settles, then they'll quietly reflect, probably alone, analyze what happened, and process their emotions privately. It's the same reason INTJs often end up being the rock in a crisis, the one everyone turns to because they're always unshaken. Whether it's a work emergency, a relationship meltdown, or a full-blown existential crisis, the INTJ is already 3 steps ahead. Emotion neatly muted, solution fully loaded. These videos will be really helpful for you.